In general practice and also in research, actually the first question is always what are the needs of the client, the child, the parents. For research, clinical research should be focused on what problem do we solve. So the first thing is to explore the problem. And when you look to research, this part of the research is often very little described or overlooked. And in asking the needs, you need a different way of conversation from the traditional way of conversation in a medical situations. As a clinician, usually we have a list of things we want to know from the child of the parent. But it's when you are interested in the needs, you need really a different way of questioning. And in asking the needs, we use the open question technique. I don't know if the word open is clear to you, but the trick is that you ask a question in a way that you don't define the subject. And then the parent gives an answer, and then you have to proceed in a way of questioning that you address the answer of the parent without adding a subject by yourself. Yeah? So the next question could be for, please can you tell me more about the problem, or can you explain your answer? And the simple, you have the mirror technique for, you start with the open question, at this moment, what's the biggest problem for your child? Now, a very common answer is walking. And then you can proceed, can you tell me more what's the problem about walking? So the parent started with walking and you reflect on walking, but you may not introduce a new subject. And you have to proceed with this till you have a detailed picture of the problem. Well, and I've given lectures in a lot of places. I can give you an example. In Afghanistan, I start with the main problem, walking, and can you tell me more about the problem? Yes, my child has to walk to school. Okay, so the problem is walking to school. It has to walk 20 minutes to school. So the problem is to walk 20 minutes to school. Now, actually not. She has to cross a canal. Yeah? Okay, so the problem for your child is that she has to cross a canal in walking to school. Yes, and that's why she can't go to school. So when you reflect on the answer, the parent start to talk, and not a professional, and they explain more in detail what's the problem till you can get a real picture of the situation. And when you skip that process, you never find out a detailed problem. For when you said walking is the problem, and you start, can she walk 5 meters, how does she move around in a house, and how does she move around the house, and how do you do the shopping? You will never come to the problem as defined. Yeah? And in the research, is also when you have clinical research, then actually your research should be focused on the real problems in a specific area. And when you have the real problem, then you can evaluate if your intervention does change something at a real problem. Okay, and actually for the child, it's the same. Well, children already from the age of 4 years has mainly their wishes. And with open questions, you can invite the child about his wishes and the problems. And mostly it works the best when you ask it on a positive way. So what do you like to go easier, or what do you like to be better in? And sometimes what makes you angry when something doesn't work. But it's the open question is all questions in a way that you don't define the subject. Yeah? Well, and for the family, the outcomes of the needs can be a goal for the intervention. And for the parents, you can use is there a problem at this moment that you like to improve? Or what's important for you to learn your child? You focus on what do they like to improve the coming time? Would you like to go easier? And well, all these kind of solutions. When a parent doesn't come up with a wish, then you can use the way that you describe an ordinary day. So at what time you get up and the child get dressed and you have your breakfast and so on. So mostly when you go into detail at a normal day, then problems they experience can pop up. Another method you can use is the ladder of life. Is somebody familiar with this way of questioning? No? Well, the first question is, where on the ladder of life do you feel personally stand at the present time? It gives an impression actually about how the parent value the present situation and what would help you to move up at the ladder and what would cause you to move down to the ladder. Then they are invited to tell about the situation and things that are important for them to improve the situation and things which could harm the situation. And you see, these are also very open questions, so they can answer anything they like. Well, it sounds easy, but it's very difficult. And I don't know to what degree you are familiar, but I really want to practice it. For I think it's so crucial that when you start research that at first you have to find out what are the real needs of your research population when you want to give an intervention. So at first I like to invite you to... It switches off all the time. It can't be the battery.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Can you? Who wants to try with give an example? You can ask what you like. Can you give me an example of an open question? You can give the microphone to somebody.